Good evening, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks College Sports Huddle. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome, everybody watching on the McGrath Podcast Network, everybody watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Here is music for drive somebody crazy. I want to welcome all the groups and thank all the groups that do allow us to share this show and all my shows through the week. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports, Let's Talk Sports, Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, specifically the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoking Jim Frazier. And we welcome everybody in. It's kind of, we're in an in-between time in college sports. We'll be talking some women's softball tonight. The regionals are set, and we'll take a look at what those look like. We're playing the NCAA conference tournaments in the men's side to set the field for the World Series of the College World Series. But there's also college football news to get to. 2014 playoff is... We just went to 76 teams on basketball, right? We just talked a little bit about that before the show on the Roundtable show. And the Big Ten is leading the charge. It is starting to get traction. The SEC really hasn't spoken up yet because I think they're looking to, get some concessions. But the Big 12 and the ACC all seem to be behind this 2014 playoff happening by 2027. Now, there's no TV partners in place yet. Fox is all for this. ESPN isn't. There seems to me they're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. And what's interesting about this is, the Big Ten is now driving the car. The SEC is really taking a back seat, guys. I know some of you SEC elitists won't like to hear this, but the Big Ten has won the last 3 college football championships. They really are wielding the power today and that's not to say the SEC doesn't have any power. They really have the power to make sure what's going to happen. Also, even though the Big 12 is on board with this, some of them are getting tired. Iowa State AD James Pollard said this week, because he was talking about the fact that it's, the SEC and the Big Ten don't get their way, they may just break off and go on their own. And he said, let them break off. In fact, we should break off from them. And by the way, when they break off, it won't be just for football. It'll be for everything. Not football and basketball. It'll be everything. He said, and he's right. I mean, good luck when they're, their baseball teams and their gymnastics teams and track and field have, 30 schools participating. How's that going to work? It's great talk, but again, the SEC and the Big Ten do control a lot of the narrative because that's who the TV networks are going to let set the table here. That's what's going to happen. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens. So we can talk about some of that. Lincoln Riley says he thinks USC is ready to compete and get to a college football playoff. The big news at USC this year, in my mind, has not been any of the transfer portal stuff, the recruiting, none of it, which, by the way, this team is getting better. The big news out in the USC land, in my mind, is Gary Patterson getting the defensive coordinator position, former TCU coach and a really good defensive mind. Getting the defensive coordinator position, he needs players. And Lincoln Riley hasn't done a great job of recruiting guys on that side of the football, or either from high school or the transfer portal. So we'll see how that works out. But there's lots of stuff to talk about. Well, I don't know how long we'll go tonight. The show could be an hour. The show could be 45 minutes the next few weeks. Again, we'll talk about our sabbatical. Probably coming up in June, maybe as soon as the NCAA baseball tournament is over. We'll take a few months off probably to recharge. And I might even move the MLB update to this time. I don't know. I've been playing around with moving that show, as I said before, and we'll see how it goes. Fridays at 3 is really cramping my style because I'd like to go play golf on Friday afternoons, and I can't at this point. Well, I might. If I went early enough, I could go after the weekend playbook show at 9. Finishes up at 9. I could probably get out and get back by 3, but I had to run back today. We played at 12 and play was kind of slow. And we had one beer afterwards. So I had to run back here, woofed on my dinner, get on the roundtable show, and didn't get as prepared as I'd like for this show. But you guys often bail me out in that regard. It was a fun day on the golf course today, by the way. Didn't play great. Played better. Actually played better Monday when I was about ready to have heat stroke because the heat index here was 101. Probably hotter than that on the golf course, quite frankly. So anyway, we had some fun. Who's here with us? JB's with us. Good evening, JB. JB, I know you're a big baseball guy, but who do you root for in college? Can's with us, as I mentioned. Check out Can. Well, check out JB's stuff, by the way. Let me go back to JB real quick. Can, I'll come back. JB's stuff on YouTube, does some great interviews. If you got anything coming up, feel free to plug it. Can does some great stuff on with Flo on the Bottom Line Sports podcast. We try to share it. I know Flo often will message me, and I may not see it until halfway through the show, so I apologize. But you'll always get to see their shows shared on my my feeds. So they do some great stuff. I know Danny enjoyed watching you guys, Ken. So good to have you with us. Who do I golf with? We have a group here in the development that is supposed to play once a week, but we played once. And there's some issues because one of the guys, and really the guy who kind of was putting it together, his wife has been ill. So, and then I tried to get us together the last couple of weeks, but it was hard to match up the time. So I went up and joined Eagle Crest, and I've gone up. I'll go see. It doesn't bother me. I'll go up and I'll look online, and if I see 2 openings in a foursome, I will grab one of them and I'll play with whoever. I'll meet people. I met a bunch of great people since the golf season started. There is one couple that plays together every 2, 3, 4 times, sometimes a week at noon, right at noon all the time. They have an afternoon membership. I can play anytime during the week. And I played with them a bunch of times, and I played with them today, and we had a really good time. Monday was a different story, man. It was rough out there. This old guy shouldn't be out when it's 101, the heat index. I can tell you right now. USC football, UNC hoops. There you go. USC. So that's one of the stories, I think, of the offseason. Again, obviously the transfer portal, NIL, all this stuff is all important and all has great impact on the season. I think one of the bigger impact moves in this offseason is, as far as affecting play on the field, is Lincoln Riley convincing, I got the hiccups now, convincing Gary Patterson to come and be his defensive coordinator. Gary Patterson probably could have waited for a head coaching job. So, I mean, kudos to Lincoln Riley, and I think he got himself a really good defensive coordinator. And I do think it's going to help USC move up, maybe take the next step into the playoff. Phil McConkey interview today. Sweet. Check out JB in the Back It Up Pinch podcast on YouTube. Good stuff. Ken, if you guys got a show coming up, feel free to promote that as well. So anyway, JB, I like that USC team. I know a lot of people down on Lincoln Riley, a lot of people down on USC. I think it's taken them a little time to get their legs under them. Remember, I mean, he coached 1 year, I think, right? And then they went to the Big Ten, a totally different world. They weren't ready. They weren't big enough in the trenches. Washington and Oregon was much more prepared than USC and UCLA to go play in the Big Ten and play that type of football. But I think Lincoln Riley's a good football coach, and he's going to figure it out, and he's starting to figure it out. He's done a pretty good job. You look at a 2014 playoff, they'll get in. I'm listening to quotes today. You know, everybody in the Big Ten Commissioner Patini, right? Is that his name? Where is he? Patini. Yeah. Talks about that they don't just love it. I'm sorry. They don't just like it. They love it. Every team is on board. And I heard quotes from Pat Fitzgerald, the new coach at Michigan State, and PJ Fleck at Minnesota saying they all love it. You would love it because you got no chance of getting into a 12-team playoff, probably ever. Certainly not Minnesota. I mean, what's Patini? And again, Patini and the Big Ten are the ones leading this charge. And the SEC has really wanted the 16-team model is what they wanted. Not the one I like, by the way, the one I was sued by Basement Bob about. I see too many downsides to the 24. Watering down the tournament itself. Obviously, look at the conference championship games have to go away. They're going to go away. And that's still a stumbling block, by the way, because there's $200 million in revenue for the four power conferences that would have to go away. And they're not going to make it up really in the playoff. I think what I read was that again, TV contracts would change all of this because you're not factoring in the TV contract. Without the TV contract, they would probably generate $80 million more in the college football playoff by going to 24 teams. I'm sure that $120 million will be offset with a TV contract. I'm certain of that. So we'll see how that goes. Charles White, USC guy. Charles White was a great college football player. Pros, not so much. I think he had one good year, right? I think he ran for 1,000 yards once, maybe. Had some issues, if I'm not mistaken, too, Charles White. But great college football player. You know, I talk about that all the time, just talking generalities here. You know, when we talk on this show about great players, we talk about college. It's okay. It's certainly okay that a guy is what and can be one of the best college football players of all time and been a total bust in the NFL. One thing has nothing to do with the other. Again, Tim Tebow is one of the top 5 college football players of all time. Not a good pro. We haven't done that. We'll do that exercise soon, too. Who are the top 5? Who are the top 10 college football players of all time? Listen, my number one, people always argue with me that I can't go that way, but I'm always going to. And number 1 for me is Archie Griffin. He won back-to-back Heisman trophies. Nobody else has ever done that. Now, I understand he was playing on one of the better teams with one of the better lines, and a lot of other running backs might have been able to do what he did. But they didn't. That's the fact of the matter. And I've always been a big Archie. And again, didn't make it on the next level. Does not diminish what he did in college even a little bit. And it's hard to compare eras, right? I mean, quarterbacks were winning Heisman in the 60s. The numbers are dwarfed by what guys are doing from that position now. I mean, quarterbacks have dominated the Heisman voting for quite a while. But this is a cyclical thing. Running backs dominated for a long while. Then it was quarterbacks before that. You know, when Pat Sullivan, and I don't mean to disparage these guys at all, right? When Pat Sullivan and Steve Spurrier are winning Heisman trophies, it's kind of weird. Because they weren't great college players in my mind. So, anyway, I digress a little bit. What else we got to talk about? The women's softball. I believe we're into the regionals now, and we'll take a quick look at that too. Let's see, where are the women's sports? I just I don't want scores. What I want is women's. Bear with me a minute. What do I want? Field hockey? No, I don't. I do not. I wanted to get to the. Why can't I get to the women's regional? Let's see. Let me get to NCAA softball bracket. Not a lot of big surprises, I don't think. And the men, by the way, again, they're playing their conference tournaments, getting ready to move on. So in the here we are. So here we are. So the super regionals are over. Alabama moved in from their regional, and they'll play LSU. Great matchup, two SEC powers. Alabama, for whatever reason, only had to play. Oh, they're one. I'm sorry. They have no losses. These series are best of 3, by the way. They came out of the Tuscaloosa and the Baton Rouge regionals. The Tallahassee regional, UCF comes out of there. Surprises Florida State a little bit. UCLA, who's played very, very well, number 2 in the country, will play them in a 2 out of 3 series. That came out of the Los Angeles region, by the way. Fayetteville, Arkansas advances. They're a 2 seed, excuse me. Duke, a 3 seed. They come out of their Durham region, so no surprises there. Nebraska, who's a 1 seed, and Oklahoma State, who's a 4 seed. Oklahoma State surprises Stanford in that region. Nebraska, again, was a favorite. Come out of that. They'll play a 2 out of 3 series. Coming out of Austin was Texas, number 1, no surprise there. Number 5, Arizona State comes out of College Station. Texas A&M eliminated basically in their own region, their home field. So a little bit of a surprise there. So you're going to get Arizona State against Texas. Number 2, Tennessee comes out of the Knoxville region, no surprise there. Georgia comes out of the Athens region, no surprise there. A lot of SEC teams here. Texas Tech, a 3 seed, comes out of the Gainesville. I'm sorry, they come out of the Lubbock region. And eliminated Ole Miss was the best team that they got past. Florida was a 2 seed, and they get past number 2 Texas State. And out of Eugene comes Mississippi State. A 5 seed think surprising Oregon, the number 1 seed. Great job. And Oklahoma, no surprise. I think the favorite to win this whole tournament comes out of the Norman region. They eliminate Kansas, Binghamton, and Michigan, and like. So there's what you have. And those teams will go to the College World Series. They'll pare these teams down to 4. They'll pare these teams down to 8, right? And then we'll play to get to 4. And then we'll play to get to 2. And then we'll play to get to 1. And the college baseball really, and what are the rankings right now with college softball? Let's take a quick look at the rankings. And we'll look at the men's side as well as far as the rankings, and we'll take a look at some of the seedings as well, if we have them yet. I don't think there's anybody officially in yet. So the women's softball, Nebraska was 1, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, the top 5, Texas Tech, UCLA, Tennessee, FSU, and Florida round out the top 10. On the men's side, anything changed in the polling? UCLA still sits at number 1, 48-6. Great job by UCLA. North Carolina still at 2. Not a lot of movement. Georgia Tech and Georgia stay at 3 and 4. Texas moves up 1 to 5. Auburn drops 1 to 6. Oregon State, Southern Miss, West Virginia, Texas A&M round out the top 10. The teams that we've focused on in the last few weeks, teams that were historically really good, 60s, 70s, etc. USC, for example, they fall to number 25, and Arizona State moves up a little bit to 21. But still, these teams are relevant. These programs are relevant, more so than they have been in quite some time. And Coastal Carolina continues to fall in the rankings. The last 3 weeks have not been kind to Coastal Carolina. They've fallen from top 10 to number 24. But I don't think we have any. Let's look at the tournament here. Let's see. What can I look at in here that will show me? Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're playing their conference tournaments now, which will determine automatic seeds. We get at larges, just like every other tournament. And then I think next week we'll know what the matchups are for the regional play to start in the College Baseball World Series. So that'll be fun to talk about, I think. I think. Now you can see why we got to get to a sabbatical at some point. Because if we don't, all I'm going to end up talking about is the negative stuff in the world of college football, like going to 2014 playoffs. Are you kidding me? I already got a problem with the basketball, with the men going to 24 teams. By the way, Brandon Sorsby, we talked about a couple of times, and his situation at Texas Tech, again, one of the most highly sought after transfer quarterbacks, got paid a bunch of money in NIL, and then went into gambling rehab. And he's talked about openly about, his betting, tens of thousands of bets on online sites, including bets on his own team when he was at Indiana. Never bet against them. That's come out. But he's suing the NCAA, trying to get a decision on his eligibility, because if he's not going to be eligible, he wants to potentially get in the NCAA supplemental draft here in July. And he's got till the end of June to apply and get approved by the NCAA, because you can't just say, I want to be in it, and you're in it. You have to be approved. So we'll see what happens. He's under investigation right now for gambling violations, as we said, including bets he placed on Indiana football while he was a member of the Hoosiers in 2022. He did detail an affidavit that's attached to the lawsuit. He says he needs clarity on his college status so that he can apply for the NFL supplemental draft in late June if his NCAA career is over. I'm not sure. I look at, it's a 7-round draft, right? Nobody might get back to. If you don't know about the NCAA draft, don't be shocked, because nobody does the supplemental draft, because there's been good players. Bernie Kosar came through there, Brian Bosworth, a few other guys, but there hasn't been, that I'm aware of, anybody taken, or there hasn't been a supplemental draft in a few years, because there's been nobody in it. That's probably because of the NIL and transfer situations in college sports. So if he enters it and is allowed in by the NFL, which had two things that have to happen: he has to apply, he has to be approved. Now it becomes, who takes a flyer on him? Nobody's wasting a first, second, third round pick on him. I'm not sure that anybody will waste a fourth round pick on him. But if he sits around to the 6th or 7th round, some team's probably going to say, well, because remember, wherever you take him in the supplemental draft, you lose that draft pick in the next NFL draft. So nobody's going to waste number 1 on him. By the way, this is a kid who, if he'd played his senior year, the chances are he would have been a number 1 pick, first-round draft pick. As we sit here today, or we sat here before these allegations and his subsequent going into rehab for his gambling issues. So, good evening, John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. As I said, one of the best groups out there. College baseball has an effect on the Mohawks. Teams who advance in the playoffs have players come in late. This is true. Any of these, and again, it's not just the Mohawks. And what is it? The Perfect Game League, I think, Rick? Is that the league? They call that league now? Summer baseball with collegiate players, mostly collegiate players. But it affects, there's these countries, or these these leagues. There's several of them around the country, and it does affect these leagues because anybody who's still playing in the tournament obviously isn't going to play summer baseball yet. And they opened pretty quickly, don't they? The Boz. Listen, I like Sorsby a lot too, John, and I like his potential. The question's going to be, so again, if you're a team that needs a quarterback, Jets, for instance, as you are a New York guy, and I still don't know whether you like the Jets or the Giants more. The question becomes, look, we can use the Jets as an example. Who else needs quarterbacks? Where do you slot him? Now, obviously, the longer you wait, the more chance that somebody else steps up and says, I'll put a second-round draft, or I'll forfeit a second-round draft pick in the next draft for this guy. I don't think anybody's doing that, by the way. I can't see a world where he's taken before the 4th round to the supplemental draft. So the question becomes, John, if you're the Jets, and you want your quarterback, and you think he's your quarterback of the future, right? Because you've got to make that decision now before you see Klubnik play, obviously, and who they took a flyer on in the 4th round. And they're probably playing to draft a quarterback in the 1st round next year. But if you can get a guy in a supplemental draft, well, now you don't necessarily have to do that. I don't know. You're bringing in some baggage, remember. There's distractions. Who knows what else will pop up in this story? So the question becomes, who takes him, and what draft pick are they willing to forfeit? No, the Patriots aren't taking him. The Patriots aren't taking him. June 4th is the opener for the Mohawks. Well, this tournament really... When's the tournament go through? See if I can find if I go back to the beginning of this, I can find. That's not what I wanted. College World Series dates. I think the tournament's over by like the 10th. Does that sound right? No, it's not. I take it back. They play into June. The 22nd is the 20th through the 22nd is the final round, the championship series. It would be over Sunday or Monday, depending on whether it went 2 or 3 games. So bracket play doesn't start until June 12th. I can't believe isn't school done? I just went to a college graduation in Rhode Island last Friday. College graduations happening all over the country. They're still playing college baseball after the semesters are over. It's not. It makes me laugh because the Patriots aren't taking Sorsby. They have no reason to take him. My banner's not up tonight. In all seriousness, John, if the Jets were to take him and they like him, what draft pick do you give up to take him? Do you take, you're not going to waste a first, second, third or rounder. The question becomes fourth round and on. Where do you slot yourself and say, I don't need that pick in next year's NFL draft? Still good players getting drafted in the fourth and fifth round. But if you're getting a franchise quarterback potentially, and Sorsby's good. Whether he's a franchise quarterback, I don't know yet. I would like to have seen him play his senior year at Texas Tech in the Big 12 and not for Cincinnati. But he had big numbers for Cincinnati. He looks like an NFL quarterback. In fact, I would take him before, Trinidad Chambliss. Sorry, Jack. Hello. How are you, my friend? How you doing, Paul? Good to have you with us. I'm president of the Patriots here. And Jack, I wish that were true. If I thought we converted you, I would have thought we were doing you a huge favor. What if I can get you the same job that you have at the Meadowlands at Gillette Stadium for twice the pay? Would you become a Patriot fan? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think the Jets, and because the Jets are the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. They'll try to tank and they'll probably win, 6 games and screw themselves out of Arch. I would be positioning myself for Arch mating. So I do think if Sorsby gets in the supplemental, I think somebody bites with a 6th or 7th round draft pick. Maybe 5th, but I'd be shocked. Hello. You did just see me, Brian. Good to have you with us. I haven't sworn on this show yet. Money talks. In what regard, Jen? I don't know if I'm following the money talks, which you're absolutely right. As a rule, it does with everything, but I need some context. Again, it's not a sure thing the NFL is going to say, okay, you're eligible for the supplemental draft. They can make him wait, not play any football this year, and make him wait for the NFL draft in 2027. It's possible. So, again, I'm not sure if you can give me a little context to the money talks, because, again, that fits pretty much everything in life, doesn't it? I'm here for the money. You guys don't often get to see me with something other than a wind shirt on, right? So you're seeing me in some golf attire tonight. So act accordingly. We got a little class going on with the show tonight. Kidding. I wonder if there's any news. And so anyway, Sorsby is going to be interesting to see what happens here. Yeah, we get paid. You haven't been getting paid. I've been cashing checks from the McGrath Podcast Network. Maybe I shouldn't have been. Oh, money talks with me. So your new job with the Pats, well, but would you be a Patriot fan? A real Patriot fan? So, by the way, I have no pull in Gillette, by the way, John. So don't quit your job until you hear from me. I just want to know if we could pull that off, would you become a Patriot fan? So I guess the money talks. I think it was your answer, right? You're a MetLife free agent. I think it's your job at MetLife, John, that has not allowed you to ever tell me whether you're a bigger I think you're a bigger Jet fan because your love for Joe Namath. You got to be a Jet fan. I don't know why I keep asking this question. Never mind. You obviously have to be a Jet fan. By the way, here's your boy. Still sitting right here at my right at my fingertips. What else is going on in the world of college football? See, we got a thing in a mailbag here. I don't care about that. How about, here's the thing about the 2014 playoff. All these leagues, not all these leagues, SEC is still pushing for 16. The Big 10, Big 12, ACC all seem to be on board. You know who's not? The fans, the TV networks. Fox seems to be. ESPN is kind of lukewarm to the idea. And again, if you're PJ Fletch or if you're Fletch or Pat Fitzgerald, absolutely you'd be excited because now you got a better chance of getting in. You got no chance to ever get a 12-team playoff. It's such ridiculous money grabs all the time. Whether we're talking about the NCAA basketball tournament going to 76 teams or the football going to 24. I mean, you realize you're turning this into a participation tournament. All that stuff that I argued with John DeLon that he was wrong about, he'll end up being right about. Our SEC, our favorite SEC elitists. Because now it's ironic, too, because it'll become a participation trophy because it's a tournament, because it's going to be full of teams that finished, 6th or 7th in the SEC or the Big Ten. Crazy. Hope John's okay, by the way. We haven't seen him this entire football season, so we hope he's okay. You'd be wearing your Jim Plunkett shirt. I have a Tony Eason jersey still, by the way. I'm not allowed to wear it in the stadium. You get killed. Who's watching? Oh, John can't watch the game. That's true. Got to watch the crowd. Nixon 5. Again, it's not college sports, but we can mention a tremendous comeback by the Knicks last night, facilitated by some silly mistakes by the Cavaliers and Hart. I don't want to again get into too much of a conversation here, but Harden and Mitchell just disappeared in crunch time. Kenny Atkinson forgot that you can use timeouts. He said he wanted to save them for. If the game got down to a last possession. Well, why not use them to try to keep that from happening so there is no last possession to worry about? You got a 20-point lead. Keep that. You don't have to worry about it. Underwood, I'm not sold yet. But again, he's a kid. Arch Manning struggled. Played much better towards the end of the year. Underwood... very up and down. What I'll say is I think a new coaching staff coming in there will probably benefit Underwood. And maybe, I don't know who's there with him, who else they might have brought in, Brian, but giving him a little competition this spring would probably be good for him. And I think Kyle Whittingham isn't going to just hand him the job. You would know better than I would, whether that's happening or not happening. And if I said Blair Underwood, I didn't mean Blair Underwood, the actor, obviously. I think there's still lots of potential there. There's lots of like. I mean, again, not every kid comes into college, just like they don't all come into the NFL and excel as quickly as somebody else. The system matters. The schedule matters. Your own rate of development matters. So I think he improves this year, yes. And I think Michigan, with the change at head coach, is a viable contender in the Big Ten this year. I love Kyle Whittingham. If you watch these shows, you know how much I like Kyle Whittingham. In the coaching ranks, Kyle Whittingham might be the biggest move. Gary Patterson, being the defensive coordinator at USC, might be the second biggest move. Great coach. You're not on the field? Where are you? You the eye in the sky watching me move my seat? I'm not sold either. He looks awkward. He does look awkward in some spots. He'll be better. But if he plays well, if he improves, and again, I don't think we saw the same improvement consistently throughout the season as we saw in Arch Manning. I don't think you can make an argument that Arch Manning played much better as the season went on. Blair Underwood was much more up and down. And I don't think he has many highs as Arch had. I really wouldn't be ready to give up on him yet, though. We'll see what Underwood does with him. What Kyle Whittingham does with that quarterback position. Yes, Paul, we hear you. How are you, buddy? How are you listening when you're in the car? You have it on your phone? Are we on some radio channel that I don't know about that should be paying us, Brian? Maybe we should be getting more than we're getting, which is zero right now, to be clear. I have gotten some small direct deposits from Facebook of late, by the way. I think I might have mentioned that on some other shows, but because our views between the shows and the shorts, the clips on YouTube and Facebook have reached well over 100,000 monthly. And in the last couple months, both months, I've gotten these huge deposits, money transfers from Facebook for like $24 each month. Trending a little lower this month, but there you go. Tommy Carr. Do you relate to CJ and Lloyd or no? And Chase Herbstreit. Oh, that's wait a minute. That's not Kirk's kid, is it? Playing at Michigan? That's impossible. Is Chase Herbstreit Kirk Herbstreit's kid? No. I got a feeling it is. That would be blasphemous. He is. I'll be a son of a gun. Ohio State alumnus Kirk Herbstreit son is contending to be the quarterback of that Michigan, that team up north. Thank you, Brian. You know, the only thing I don't like about the way the shorts come out, and I do it through StreamYard, is everything's like an extreme close-up, and I hate that. When you're 66 years old, you don't want that big close-up. You know, you want some muted shots. But anyway, I've had fun doing those. It's funny. It really runs in streaks. Sometimes, like some of the shorts have 2,000 views. And then I'll do one I did, like the ones from Sunday's show and Monday shows were like, I don't know. Some had 0 views. Some had 15. We settled over like 1,500 for them all. But it's really kind of weird. But it's fun. People like things in small bites, right? I mean, we do the show for an hour, hour and a half, and you know, we take 30 seconds out of what we talked about here. It'll be interesting to see what shorts they come up with for this. The clips. Because we haven't done anything earth-shattering here tonight. But we'll see that. Paul likes the shorts. They're kind of cool. If you can't watch the whole show, you can go look and see one topic. Maybe you want to see, 30 seconds or a minute on. I think it's kind of cool. I like it. It's really improved the YouTube views. Because, again, I can share the shows on Facebook and get, 1,000 or 1,500 views for the show. But on YouTube, can't do that. So we were getting whatever, 8, 10. We had 25 for one of the shows one day last week. But the shorts will get hundreds and sometimes thousands of views. So it's really kind of cool and really boosted the YouTube views. And even the subscribers have jumped. We've picked up like 50 in the last month or so. Again, it's well below. Facebook, it's still 2,500. And YouTube is like, what, 125 or something. Tommy Carr is also Lloyd's grandson. Sweet. Look at that. So CJ, wouldn't it be interesting if Tommy Carr was starting at Michigan and CJ at Notre Dame? CJ, by the way, I like a lot. That kid is, I think he's going to be a big-time player. I don't know that he might be eligible. No, I don't think he's eligible for the draft next year, but keep an eye on his development. If he keeps playing and developing and getting better, this kid's name is going to come up at the top of the NFL draft lists when his time comes. I'm interested to see if Tommy is as good as his brother. Thank you, Paul. We like the shorts too. I thought you were talking about my shorts for a minute, which you can't see. Danny wears pink polka dot boxer short. You know, it's funny. I put this shirt on this morning. I thought it was pink, and my wife said it's. Then I thought it was peach because I'm not good with colors. I'm semi colorblind. I can't pick. I can pick out black and red, for instance, right? But I can't pick out different shades of things. Pink and peach look the same to me. She didn't call this peach. Mauve, maybe? I don't know what she called it. Anyway. I don't know what it is. Oh, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. We're good sometimes. Other times, like tonight, we're just sitting here babbling about nothing. Which is really good, though. I listen, I just come here and chat for 2 hours. You guys bring up, you know, John looking for a job with a Patriot organization at Gillette. And, you know, we'll see if we can facilitate that. So it's not like we're not doing important business here. Guys, speaking of subscribing, though, in all seriousness, I hope all of you, and I know all of you have really subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that, my Facebook channel, but get to the McGrath Podcast Network as well on YouTube. And make sure you're ringing the bell and subscribing there, too, because these shows all air there. You can watch them wherever. If we lose some views, whatever, I'll get you later. But you can watch my shows here. There's a ton of other shows to watch on MPN that are better than this one, quite frankly. I'm just along for the ride. I'm the old guy, you know. I'm the token old guy on the roundtable shows. We need a cranky guy, and that's me. So, I thought it was interesting too. I mentioned earlier in the show Iowa State's AD James Pollard saying we should just let the SEC and the Big Ten go fend for themselves. They want to break away, let them go. Don't threaten us. In fact, we should break away from them. Maybe he's got something. The problem is they got the TV money is going to follow the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, because the problem is those schools probably don't care, you know, when Pollard talks about, yeah, that'll work out for him for football, maybe basketball, but what about softball and gymnastics when they only got 30 teams, track and field? All of those things would suffer because he's making it clear, you know, don't leave the you know, the non-football and the non-revenue generating sports, for instance. Don't leave them behind when you break away from the rest of the NCAA, because we're not going to play your teams. We're not going to allow them in our tournaments. So guess what? You're going to be playing amongst yourselves. Have fun. Breaking away is not. Yeah, how is that even conceivable? I understand they've got the power with the TV contracts. No argument. But how is breaking away and having, what do they got? 18, so 34 teams, right? Those 34 teams are going to play each other all year and then play each other in a playoff, and we're going to pay $1 billion for a TV contract to broadcast that? I am not buying it. I'm not buying it. So this whole breaking away thing, it's going to take more than just the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, if they could get the ACC and the Big 12, and the Big 12 I don't think wants to do this, to go with them, listen, when the breakaway comes, and it might very well come, it's not going to be the SEC and the Big Ten. It's going to be the upper echelon of the Big Ten, the upper echelon of the SEC, the upper echelon of the ACC, the upper echelon of the Big 12, and maybe the best of the best of the group of six. And there'll be 48 teams or whatever that break away. And it's going to happen. It'll probably happen in my lifetime, assuming I live 10 more years. God, I hope I do. I like it here a lot. A lot. So, I don't know. I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten saying they're going to break away as a league, I think is ridiculous, because I don't think they care about the bottom feeders on their league, in their league. I mean, do you think the Big Ten really cares whether Purdue comes along with them when they break away to their new league? You think SEC cares about, I don't know, South Carolina? You think the ACC cares about BC? No, they'll get left behind with the rest of the leftovers. Canes only. Canes would be part of any breakaway. I mean, they're a brand. I mean, we don't even know whether a breakaway will. I do think it will happen in my lifetime. Probably well before my lifetime's over, I hope, because again, I hope to be here 34 more years. Even 100 sounds good. But until that happens, I don't think we're going to see more. You're seeing it on a lower level, right? The Pac-12 brings in teams from, and they did settle their lawsuit. The Mountain West was suing the Pac-12 for poaching teams. That's been settled out of court. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of movement amongst the power conferences until that big breakaway, when the top of every one of them just goes and forms their own 48-team league or whatever you want to call it. I mean, the only good thing I see about that, and I've said it a few times, is maybe when it happens, maybe they take 60, maybe it's 48, maybe it's 64. Who knows what the number is? It really doesn't matter. My hope is when that happens, maybe we get some semblance of regional rivalries again, right? Because they'll likely set up, in conferences, like the NFL probably. You'll have an Eastern and a Western conference, and you'll have divisions that make sense regionally for all of these conferences. You won't have UCLA going to freaking Rutgers. Well, it's debatable whether either one of those teams would make that that Super League anyway. Rutgers certainly wouldn't. I mean, it's all conjecture, but I mean, I'm having a hard time getting my head around the fact that Chase Herbstreit is playing at Michigan. How did Kurt allow his son to go to the maize and blue. How? Now, well, back to the original premise of that question, by the way. Brian was talking about Underwood and whether he would improve. I think he will improve, and I think the fact that he may be in a competition for his job, Brian had said these two guys were going to be competing with him, Tommy Carr and Herb Street. That can only help Underwood. And if I call him Blair Underwood one more time, he might start acting. I don't know. Herb Street's certainly a Kirk's secretly a Michigan fan. I doubt that very much, but I find that interesting. That bit of news got by me. I'm so happy you popped in tonight, Brian, and put that comment up because I did not know that. I'll always be around, but when I die, we will keep you like Weekend at Bernie's guy. You can do AI with me, John, right? Just whatever. Just put together a guy who looks as goofy as I look and talks as goofy as I look, and just cobble it together and punch in. Keith needs to ramble on about ABS and college football playoff, and the AI will do all the talking, and you don't know it's not AI now, right? Oh, got a cramp in my calf. Sorry. I think that's hilarious, by the way. Oh my gosh. What other things are going on? Let me look at. There's got to be something we can jump on here. There was some stuff I was going to talk about a couple of weeks ago, and we never did. Why a 2014 playoff will not work. The problems will devalue the regular season. Again, that's always been one of the arguments, right? Is that any playoff more than 4 was going to devalue the regular season. Well, I don't think it did with 12. But the more you add, the more likely you are to devalue the season. There was chatter that teams would rest players during the regional rivalry games that are left, rather than risk them getting hurt. So I don't know. I just don't know. Based on the college football rankings looked a week before 2025. So if we had a 2014 model last year, you would have been looking at something like this. First round, Virginia, 10-2 against USC, 9-3. Winner would play at number 1 Ohio State. North Texas. Now I'm interested. At Alabama. Winner plays at number 8 Oklahoma. Houston, 9-3 at Miami. Winner plays Oregon. Tulane, 10-2 with Texas, 9-3. Winner plays Texas Tech. Georgia Tech plays BYU. Winner plays Ole Miss. Michigan in the playoff. That would have been interesting with what went on with our coach. At Vanderbilt, winner played Georgia. Iowa, Notre Dame obviously in this tournament. Iowa 8-4 in the tournament, by the way. Winner plays at Texas A&M. Arizona 9-3 at Utah, 10-3. Winner played Indiana. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 teams in this playoff with 3 losses and 1 with 4. Why is that good? The conference tournament games going away, by the way, I do not think is a big deal. I've never thought it was a big deal. It's a big deal for money. That's it. There's no reason you need to play these conference tournament games anymore, or conference championship games. Sorry, don't need to do it. Fans don't want it either. By the way, I have yet to find a fan who's in favor of this. Unless you're a fan of Minnesota, Michigan State, we already heard from their coaches. In a recent poll from On3, 79% of respondents expressed a desire for the playoff to either stay at 12 teams or expand to 16. The 24-team idea got 9% support. $79 to 9. Nobody wants this except the leagues. Even the TV people don't want it. ESPN doesn't want it. Not today. I don't know. It's just I'm baffled. I'm baffled. Yeah, I just don't know what they're thinking about. There was some questions in the college hoop mailbag this week. Well, maybe there isn't. How many years until the tournament expands again? This expansion eliminates the complaints of the bubble teams? Question mark. There will always be bubble teams. No? Yes. So really the only solution is for everyone gets a guaranteed game. Oh, what are those things? Yes, they call them conference tournament games. I agree 100%. Every team in the country has a chance to play their way into the tournament. We don't need to worry about bubble teams. And again, we don't call them NCAA tournament games. Take the 64. That's the number. And then you can tweak the number of automatic bids. You can tweak the number of at-large bids. I guess the automatic bids have to stay. But I would get rid of the conference tournaments. Get rid of them. Regular season winner, automatic bid, however many there are, 24, whatever. Then you tweak the number of at-large teams to whatever number makes sense based on however many you want to play in this play-in tournament over here. This isn't the NCAA tournament, though. NCAA tournament are the teams that end up in the field of 64. Now, if you want to just take the automatic bids and take all the other teams and put them in that play-in tournament, I'm all for it. Bring in 40 more teams. I don't know how you do the math. I can't do it right now. If it means everybody gets to play, perfect. You lose, you're out. You win, you move on. You move into the tournament or however many games you have to win. Yeah, that would depend on how many teams are there and how many slots you're looking to fill. And they're never going to not have any at-large teams, by the way, and everybody's got to play in. But my point would be no matter what's over here, whether it's 120 teams or it's 12 teams or 24 teams or 48 teams playing their way towards 64, these games are not NCAA tournament games. You don't count them as wins. You don't count the statistics. You don't count anything until they get to this field of 64. That's the only way I'm for this. Then the Auburns of the world, they get the win. They get the crow last year. They win the NIT and say, "See, we belonged in the NCAA tournament." Why? Because you beat a bunch of teams that were 500 or worse that played in the NIT. Now you belong in the NCAA tournament? No, you don't. And the only way I want to see the teams that finish 11th and 12th and 13th or however far we got to go from the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC is if they find a way to play their way in, which they can now, by the way, in the conference tournament games. So if you want this other play-in tournament, get rid of the conference tournament games. I mean, this is ridiculous. To talk about the bubble teams, every one of those bubble teams had a way to play their way into the tournament and did not do it. You could have won your conference tournament. You didn't do it. So you want money? I'll just hand you my money. You shouldn't be a fan of expansion, Paul. It's ridiculous. I mean, when is enough enough? I'm going to 76. Just let them all play in. But then don't count it until I'm down to 64. What are there? 200 and I don't know what there are. 264 teams. I don't know. Something like that. Let them all play. Obviously, you got to give some buys. You got to do something to make the math work. But I don't care. Let them all play until you get to 64. Then you start the NCAA tournament. It's something. Anything but this. Anything but arbitrarily putting a number saying, we'll go to 70, I don't know, 76. And then we'll go to 92 in 2 years. Why? Because you'll end up letting every team from these power conferences in when they already had a chance to play their way in. Now I'm getting cranky, Brian. It's nuts. It's a good question. Aside from Tommy Lloyd at Arizona, who are the head coaches in college basketball who are more powerful than the football coaches? John Shire, without a doubt. Bill Self, yes. Tom Izzo, yes. Dusty May, 100%. Both Gino Auriemma and Dan Hurley at UConn, yes. Don Staley at South Carolina, yes. And everyone who coaches at LSU, that's pretty funny, actually. That's not true. Lane Kiffin's more powerful than Will Wade. But there's others. Matt Painter at Purdue, right? Comes to the top of my head. Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Calipari, it's Arkansas. Maybe Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska now. Good questions. That's a good question. NCAA is getting ridiculous. They've been ridiculous. You know, and you can't even blame, and the NCAA used to blame for college basketball mess. But they're not really to blame for the college football mess because that's a separate entity, the college football playoff people. I mean, they're made up of people that are part of the NCAA, but the NCAA isn't making these rules. I mean, they can't even come up with a solid set of rules to rein in NIL and transferring and eligibility, which hopefully is coming soon. Changes to the eligibility are coming soon for basketball, football, all sports. The biggest change that we've had in years, because we've got all these lawsuits. There have been more lawsuits this year about guys wanting to play an extra year, 6 year, 7th year, or more. And the NCAA has had it. Charlie Baker says that they're ready to vote and have 5 years of eligibility. That's it. From the time you graduate high school or you turn 19, whichever comes first. You got 5 years. That's it. You're gone. Don't sue us for 6. You get 5 years. Just do it. Nah, I'm not interested in that question. That's it. I'm not answering any of those questions. Yeah, 8 and 4 teams in the college football. Is that actually happening? Yes, it is. It would. Under this system, or the newer system, if they go to it, Iowa would have been in the playoff at 8 and 4. Ridiculous. Here's all the numbers from that on 3 poll, by the way. Stay at 12, 41%. Go to 16, 37%. Go to 24, 9%. 4 was perfect, 13%. That beats 24. These guys are making me long for the day to beat BCS. I swear to God, and it'll never happen. And I know this is my old man cranky attitude. I swear to God, I would just as soon put all the conferences back the way they were, put the bowl system back the way that it was, Pac-12 against Big Ten in a Rose Bowl every year, Big 12 going to the Orange Bowl against an at-large, Cotton Bowl, SEC going to not the Gator Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and let the polls decide a champion. I don't care anymore. You have taken, and I was in favor of saying we need to get a winner on the field. I don't care anymore. You have totally destroyed. Again, just like what was a good idea gets bastardized into something that it shouldn't have been. We all were happy with 4 teams for a while. It was better than the BCS, we said. I'd rather be debating who the real national champion was than debating whether we should let an 8 and 4 team play for the national championship. I mean, we're never going to do that. I get that. Don't get me wrong. I understand. We can't go backwards, and in a way, in some ways, we shouldn't because it was archaic. But what we're heading towards is a watered down version of winning the championship on the field. John DeLong argued. I argued with him that this was not the idea that I was a proponent of would not be a participation tournament because only winners would get in it. Well, for the most part. Again, all the conference champions get in, 5 at-larges. 11 automatic bids, 5 at-large. Every conference tournament champion gets in and a chance to play, just like college basketball. There's no reason we can't do that in football. Oh, other than the fact that the SEC and the Big Ten need to have, 12 teams in between the two of them. And I haven't seen those numbers, by the way, on the I've been looking for it and I can't find how they would pick these teams. So you've got me wanting to go back to an archaic, because we can't do something like that. You've got me wanting to go back to an archaic system where the polls, writers, and coaches voting on national championship teams and reopening the potential for co-national champions, like we had, I don't know, a couple times. Michigan who? Washington State? BYU getting it one year by winning the Holiday Bowl. Georgia Tech won a split national championship with who? I don't remember. But now you've got me in a position where I'm thinking that's better than whatever we're heading towards. 24 teams with some arbitrary criteria to who gets in. God, it's, I hate to sound so freaking annoyed all the time, but how can I not be? Jeez, stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. Michigan, Nebraska, thank you. I don't know why I thought Washington State. Because I think Washington State had a really good team that year. That was Ryan Leaf's senior year. I feel like they had a good year that year. That same year, Michigan and Nebraska. Because that's the year that Woodson won the Heisman, correct, Ryan? Kansas rocks, and what a football. Kansas rocks in basketball, yes. Actually, the football team's not bad, but again, the Kansas of the world really certainly won a 2014 playoff. It's the only way they were going to get in one. I don't think I'm that far off here. I think I'm right on target of what should or shouldn't happen here. I think most fans, and the poll says most fans believe this. Now, again, there's going to be, that was the year they won the holes. Yeah. Oh, that was a Rose Bowl, right? Michigan and Washington State. Thank you. I knew there was something like that. Sometimes I get through these shows. I feel like, geez, I'm sitting there ranting and raving like some crazy old lunatic. But again, nothing happens in a vacuum. I don't get this worked up because nothing's happening to cause me to be that way. They've taken all of the sports that we love and bastardized it. Thank you. Paul's laughing his ass off. Woodson beat out Peyton Manning. I remember that. I just wasn't sure of the year, that if it was the same year that Michigan won. I thought it was. Lloyd Carr was a really good football coach, no matter what Tom Brady thinks. Another reason you probably don't like Tom Brady, Brian. Now, he did, because you talked about, it's funny, I'll mention this real quick, that you talked about Brady and, manufacturing chips for his shoulder to keep him motivated. He had one giant chip on his shoulder that he used his entire career, and he thanked Lloyd Carr for it, actually, when he finally went back to Michigan back in, I don't know. He hadn't gone back for like 30 years, or not 30 years, that's not right, because he was still playing. I want to say it was 2014. He finally went back to Michigan, and he thanked Lloyd Carr for putting that chip on his shoulder. Thank you, Paul. Now you know that. You did put my boy down a little bit today. You have to admit that. Right. You're like Tom Brady, the Patriot. Now, Brady got jerked around at Michigan. I mean, it's funny. Even then, he was still coming in to win games when they started Greasy and Henson. Weren't they the two guys that were there with Brady? And Brady came in and won a bunch of big games for Michigan, and Lloyd Carr never could just give him the job. Now, again, in fairness, he wasn't Tom Brady then. Hello, Chris F. Grave. At one point, I couldn't tell one midnight CBS radio host from another. I don't think I rant and rave like that, though. If I do, you can stop me. But I at least have some kind of reasonable rationale for my ranting. Tom Brady went to the best college in the NCAA. Well, it's debatable, but he wanted to leave the best college in NCAA as well at one point. But again, at the end of the day, he knows that time at Michigan actually helped make him the great player that he became. So Greasy and Henson, that's what I thought. Henson was a golden child. Remember when Henson was getting a chance in Dallas when Bill Parcells was there? My God. He's a two-sport star who stunk at both sports. He was stunk at baseball too. The Yankees gave him a shot. Brian Greasy had his moments in the NFL, but Drew Henson, oh God, how horrible. I don't know. I think I'm done. I think we're done tonight. Let's do a little housekeeping. So we aren't going away for a little bit. So again, we'll do the show where Brian, I don't know what we'll do. We'll fill this in. I'm considering maybe doing the MLB update for a while in this time slot when we take our hiatus from college sports. I don't know yet. I just need a new time slot for that show. I just don't like it at 3:00 on Fridays anymore. It worked when I was working. It worked really well, but I got to find a new time slot for that. But we'll be back on Friday morning with Jack Hirsch on the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. We'll be talking about the Knicks and Cavs series. We'll be talking about Jack's Spurs and the Thunder. We're playing tonight, by the way, and either playing right now. They're playing right now, aren't they? I would think. No, they haven't started yet. 8:30 on NBC, by the way. You can find the games. You don't have to go look for the games anymore. Find all the Spurs and Thunder games on Peacock and NBC, and you can find all the Knick and Cavs games on ESPN. So no more looking and wonder whether they're on Prime or wherever they are. But anyway, Jack and I will be back on Friday. I'll be on with the college baseball show. The more I think about it, Brian, I can do that show whenever I want and just play it at 3:00 on Friday, so we don't have to change the McGrath Podcast Network schedule. But I don't know. We'll see. I can never make up my mind about that. But anyway, we'll have the college. We'll have the MLB update probably at 3:00 on Friday. You will see it on MPN at 3:00, no matter what. And then we'll be on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness, where I'm sure I will lose my mind about something. Right? What we got here before we go? CFL preseason started. No shortage of American college and university prospects. I can look at the numbers and see how many overall. You know what? Do that, Chris, because I'll tell you what. Here's another thing to remember too. If these kids haven't used college eligibility, because we're seeing in basketball, they're recruiting kids who have not played at American universities, who have played pro basketball in Europe. There is nothing to say that some kids tearing up the CFL who have never attended American University can now be recruited to play NCAA football. So put that in perspective. He did get jerked around in Michigan for sure. I don't know. The problem is I don't know what I wish to do with that show. I don't want it to go away. I love that show. I just don't know when to do it. So hard. I don't want to add another evening. I don't know. We'll keep kicking it around. I think what I'll do, Brian, if I do, like for instance, with this show, because this show I always go on hiatus for at least 6 weeks in June or July, sometimes 2 months, because there's just not enough to chat about. And there's major stories, and we do a show, but then we come back just before the season gets started. But maybe I'll do the MLB update in that time slot. I don't know. I like to ask the followers, and we'll see what they think too. So, but we'll let you know too, my friend. Yeah, I have the last pretty much every year. I think since they've done this show, I've gone on hiatus for. I don't know. It's nice to get that hour and a half back for a couple of months to recharge the batteries a little bit. So we'll see. I'll let you know whatever we're going to do. I think whatever I do, I can still air that MLB update at 3 p.m. on Friday. So, in any event, guys, we're going to wrap it up tonight. I appreciate everybody showing tonight. Comments, lots of live viewers tonight. Lots of comments. Please like and share the show. Whether you do it on Facebook, whether you do it on YouTube, we keep building the brand, having some fun. And we thank all the groups that allow us to share this later on, too, as we continue now to go past that 100,000 views to who knows what, 1 million. Pretty big. All right, guys, you have a great weekend, and we will see you on Friday with Jack, the Weekend Playbook. Keith Engle. Good night.